welcome to FinTalk World Talk Show presented by Clickaway Creators. Today we have Mr. Mayank Holani with us. Mayank is associated with Schneider Electric Group since August 2011. He is chartered accountant with post-qualification experience of 19 years working with consulting as well as Indian, Scottish and French MNCs, handling finance, planning and analysis, budgeting and controlling, accounts, taxation, internal audit, joint venture management, business partnering, etc. Prior to Schneider Electric, he has worked with companies like JK Tyre Industries Limited, Chambal Fertilisers and Chemicals Limited, and Cairn India Limited. Before moving to present role as CFO of Schneider Infrastructure in 2020, he held the position of finance head for India Services business and before that worked in FP&A function within Schneider's India. He is a postgraduate in commerce from Jiwaji University, Gwalior, fellow member of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and also holds specialized qualifications on Information Systems Audit from ICAI and IFRS from ACCA. Without further ado, let's introduce Mayank himself. Hi, Mayank.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing these days?
I am perfectly fine. Great.
Great to hear that. And thank you so much for joining with us today. It is a pleasure having you here. Okay, Mayank. So now, without further ado, let's begin to the first set of questions. So to begin with, I would really like to understand what motivated you to choose the financial sector as a domain of work and how has been your career span till now?
So I came from a Rajasthani Marwadi family, which are generally used to be in businesses or finance field, right? And born and brought up in Gwalior, MP. So for me, the initial motivation was my two uncles. So, one of whom is a professor and was dean of commerce and management faculty at the Jiwaji University, Gwalior, while another one is a practicing chartered accountant who you also happen to be the central council member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. So this was my initial motivation, towards taking up the chartered accountancy course. Now, if I look at my career span, that has been quite diverse in terms of industry and profile, and we'll see none of the two companies or businesses have been in the same field. So I did my articleship with my uncle's firm, which mainly specialized in central excise and services tax consultancy. So which gave me good exposure in terms of interpretation of laws, analysis of law, case studies, judgments, etc. I represented many cases at the commissioner appeals as well as tribunal level. Now post qualification also about little less than 2 years I continued there, and before while I realized that okay, I want to move to industry and not continue in the practice. Then from there I joined JK Tyre Industries Limited in their corporate internal audit division, which used to cater to not just the tire business but also their other businesses, like they had a hospital, they had sugar mill, they had pharma business and agri business. So all that there was a team internal team which used to do the internal audit for it. So I worked there for about little less than 2 years, and from there I moved to Chambal Fertilisers and Chemicals Limited, a KK Bidla Group company, at their corporate office in Delhi. Again, there my role was into the financial reporting and MIS with a consolidation of subsidiaries. They used to have almost 20 plus subsidiaries across the world, right? And that this while the major business was urea, and that Chambal used to be the biggest fertilizer plant in private sector in India. Again, after working in Chambal for about more than 1.5 years, then I joined Cairn India, which had just came up with IPO in the beginning of 2007, which was the biggest IPO till that time in India. And there I took up the role of joint venture finance, or you can say business finance. And I was managing about 12 or the joint ventures with different partners with companies like ONGC, Videocon, Tata, a couple of foreign companies also, and this included a couple of overseas blocks also, right? So I was there in about for about 4 years. Again, it gave me a completely different perspective. The way oil and gas industry works, or the way these joint ventures work, was totally different from a typical business functioning. And you have a lot of regulator interface also with in petroleum sector, with Directorate General of Hydrocarbons and Ministry of Petroleum coming into play for approving your budgets and actual expenses and things like that. Now from Chambal, I moved to then from Cairn I moved to Schneider, and where I have spent more than half of my career. So, and I will be completing about 11 years next month. So I joined Schneider in 2011 August in the FP&A role in the central team, and did that about 2.5 years. Post that, I took up the role of the services controlling for their one, business line, which was the medium voltage and energy services. That I did that role for about a year, and then in 2015, when Schneider created a separate vertical for field services business, which is with a complete independent setup, I took up the finance business partner role for that business, and did that for about a little more than 5 years. And then before moving into the current role in May 2020 into this. So this currently I am CFO for Schneider Electric Infrastructure Limited, which is the only listed entity of Schneider Electric in India. And this company again came into being in 2011 with the acquisition of medium voltage business of Ariva T&D by Schneider. So that's how my experience has been. So it's quite diverse, and different industries, different roles, which have been quite challenging, but I think learning also at the same time.
Thank you, Mayank. Thank you so much for um, walking us through your entire career span and telling how your journey was so far. It was amazing. Now moving forward with the second question here. We would like to know, like, what key lessons or experiences that have enriched you and are currently aiding you in your work profile.
See, I think there have been many lessons. It's difficult to say top, but if I talk of some key learnings or lessons, the topmost is the integrity, or the value of integrity. So whatever happens, you should never compromise on your integrity, and that's applicable not just in finance field, in any field, right? It may be troubling in short term, or I mean in a smaller period, but it will always help you in the long term, and you can always hold your head with pride. Second is keep your basics right, and if you are making a mistake, be ready to accept it and learn from the same and move on. At no point in trying to continue justifying something wrong which you are doing. Third is continuous learning and unlearning also. Nowadays it's quite relevant, and sharpening the saw. So learning is a lifelong process, and we should never leave it. Right? What we learned during our times of studies 20 years back may not be fully relevant, practically now, because with the change in technology, with the new things coming up, right? And we need to continue to upgrade ourselves. And now I add unlearning also to it, because you need to unlearn a lot of things. Otherwise, we keep on going back to the what we have learned in our times and don't want to move on, right? So unlearning and learning are both important. And fourth is be ready to do different tasks, activities, roles, which can provide you diverse experience and expand your horizon of knowledge. We should be looking for roles which no one is willing to do, right? Or are considered tough. So it will expand your knowledge, it will expand your horizon, and even if you fail, it will enrich you with lot of learning. So it's not that you should never be looking for easy tasks which can be done by anyone.
Thank you, Mayank. Thank you for answering that question as well. And now would really like to know, like, what are the different challenges and opportunities that you have or had faced while working in this field?
See, I think there have been, each role, each organization has at its own, level of challenges. I'll talk more of my current role and organized business where I am today, right? Because I think that's will be more relevant. So we are today in a tough business, which is highly competitive in spite of not having too many competitors, right? You have very few companies or organizations in this business. So as a CFO on one side, I have a challenge to improve profitability, which requires increasing prices while you are in a competitive world. And when you are, so it's not completely in your control because ultimately you are going to bid for a business and, as a typical government work or public sector, or even in many private sector, whoever is quoting the lowest price gets the business. So on one side, you have a challenge to improve your profitability, but on other side, you also can't keep losing business because then you have a factory which is not running optimally, and you end up looking at a sure underutilization of resources. Then we also had with the time I took up this role, we were already into the COVID wave, first wave of COVID. I came up, I was appointed in April 2020, right? So the challenges have continued in this period. So you had COVID, first wave, second wave, third wave, and then global supply chain disruption, that's Suez Canal issue. Then you had electronics shortages, which is still continuing, and then an extraordinary raw material inflation scenario, which is still continuing, and you don't know, which commodity now is going to go up or down. And then you have to plan your business, your costing, your prices accordingly. Now, all this together has made it extremely difficult and challenging environment to operate. As one on one hand, you have to cover your risk, you're maintaining profitability while utilizing your resources and your factories, right? So because if you can't be on the wrong side. Now there are always challenges of keeping up to the speed with changes in the field, right, with regulatory or technological, and keeping yourself aware of new and emerging areas in the finance field. The way world is changing, or the even the finance world, you have new regulations, new changes in law. Then you have digitization. You have so many new things coming up in artificial intelligence in the finance field also. That if you don't keep pace with it, you will not be able to survive. So these are the kind of challenges which we had. Now, in terms of opportunities, they are immense. It's such a vast world in finance field, and anything and whatever you do, you have a finance resource there. You need a finance person because, but in today's world, I think it's finance person or a CFO. It's not that you just have to work as a controller or a accountant. It's more that you need to work as a partner with the business head or your CEO, or more to say, I would say it's you have to co-pilot the plane with your CEO. It's not that you can sit on the sides and keep instructing people do what to do, what not to do. You have to co-pilot the business. You have to run hand in hand with the CEO.
Thank you, Mayank. Thank you for answering that question as well. It was lovely hearing about your challenges and opportunities that you have faced. And now moving forward with the fourth question here. Um, in your opinion, what do you think that regarding the use of technology and how much of its impact is it going to create in terms of the industry and future businesses?
See, technology adoption is the way to go, and there is no two opinions that we can avoid technology. So we have to go for technology adoption, and that's a fact. So sooner we realize it, it's better for us or anyone else, right? We can't keep away from it. Now, technology advancement drives efficiency, right, as well as providing the basis for value-added roles. And CFOs need to establish the finance function as a change agent and to refocus finance and accounting professionals' activities. Right? It's not that technology comes and so there would be a lot of roles which you people can't continue doing in the same way. But then technology will also give rise to new roles and refocusing the finance and accounting professionals' activities. Now, digitization of finance and accounting through technology and tools, such as automation, cloud-based systems, AI, and data analytics and visualization are fundamentally challenging the finance function agenda. Exploiting such technologies, will require a new mindset and skills. Again, here it will come, to unlearn the earlier learnings and take up new skills. Now, finance function activities are to be directed in a way that it contributes to business objectives and value creation. You have to digitize finance and accounting tasks, the normal routine activities, and other business processes, so that the focus can be given to the more critical and value-adding things. Now, we need to leverage the power of financial and non-financial data to understand what drives business, what are the value drivers, and then drive the business. We also need to capture value creation with the right metrics, linked to incentives and rewards. Now, decision making system or decision support information system has to be improved through digitization across the organization, which is a very major activity. We have to also ensure robust control and security, and develop finance function talent, capacity, diversity, and the ways of working around the technology. Now, digitization of finance and accounting will also have a great impact on the organization, and it will enable to deliver enhanced customer value, right? So, in some organizations, digitization is providing a platform for digital business model transformation, while in some others, it is also, in a digital manufacturing environment, finance and accounting practices and tools need to be aligned to the data and digitally enabled manufacturing processes, which helps in extensive automation, Internet of Things technology, and artificial intelligence. Also, the strategy for finance function will set out the key enablers of change and associated development plans to ensure, that finance function is fit for purpose to partner with business. We can't be left behind in this, technological revolution, and we need to have a right mix of talent, skills, and technology to enhance effectiveness and efficiency of finance function.
Absolutely, absolutely, Mayank. Now, moving forward with the last but not last question here, like as a professional, how did you deal with the challenges, and also how did you figure out the solution to counter these challenges?
See, I look at challenges as opportunities to learn something new. Right? Any challenges poses an opportunity to learn something new, and we don't need to be afraid of these challenges, because if we continue doing the same activity which we are comfortable with, then we are not growing and improving. So they pose us a situation to take up new courses, new skills, and new learnings. And whenever a new situation or challenge arises, I look out for solution, and how I can get it right. So in today's world, it's not so difficult also to look out for a solution. You can reach out to your peer groups, you can do your own research to find a best way out. You can ask your colleagues. So it's uh, even a lot of things. Earlier you used to look at books and text, and now if you have any doubt or any clarification required on a, say, on a legal situation, it's just a few clicks away. So we have to just look out for solution and help. It's very not that difficult. But challenges should not be, we should not be afraid of challenges. Now, I have done quite diverse roles during my career, and those came with their own set of challenges and complexities. But I can only say that these provided me good opportunity to learn, right? And different setup. And it also, if you keep a positive mindset and outlook, along with willingness to learn, then any challenge can be overcome. So no challenge is as big that you can't overcome it or you can't perform it. That's what I would say.
Absolutely, Mayank. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us. And with that, we have came to the very last minutes of this amazing session. Uh, so we look forward to have such a chat with you again in the future on some trending topic in the international finance world. And for our viewers, if you like this chat with Mr. Mayank Holani, please like and share this video, and also subscribe to ClickAway Creators YouTube channel to appreciate what we do. And we have more coming from the industry leaders for you all. Thank you.